Hi, I'm Emily Agnew with another Luminos listening video. What I'd like to explore today is the question, do I really need to be alone, or do I just need the right kind of company? As HSPs, we've learned and been told that we need downtime to process, because we process deeply, we feel deeply. Also, sometimes we get overstimulated. And just to be clear, that's true for both introverted and extroverted HSPs. Extroverts are about 30% of highly sensitive people. But I want to take a more nuanced look at this, which of course is an HSP kind of a thing to do, to take a more nuanced look, because there really are different reasons why people turn to the strategy of being alone. And what I've discovered is it's not always the best strategy for meeting our needs as sensitive people. So one reason that we might want to recharge alone is just because we're grossly overstimulated. If you've been at a really loud party or out there in construction, like having to walk outside and there's construction and loud noises, then being alone is just by far the most, unstimulating thing to do to calm back down. I remember traveling all day with my baby daughter, where we had 2 flights from New York out to Tucson. It was a long, long day. And by the end of the day, we arrived at what was 1 a.m. as far as our bodies were concerned. And she had been a trooper all day, but she just fell apart. She was crying so hard. She couldn't even find the breast to nurse. But I just held her and calmed her. And that's an example of just external overstimulation, over-arousal from an external source. And she just needed to be quiet, and in a quiet, dark room with me just holding her, she was able to calm herself. So, that's external stimulation. Also, we may choose to be alone when we need to process deeply. I have that happen sometimes. I call it the planes at O'Hare, where at O'Hare, the air traffic controllers will stack the planes at rising altitudes above each other when they can't land because of bad weather. And I can have that feeling internally like the planes are stacked. There's stuff that I need to be with or think through that's stacked up. And I can feel it kind of circulating in there. And when I sit down to think it through or write, I just feel this relief of things starting to settle. So that's an example of, a reason why one might want to be alone, just to have time to write or think or take a walk and process, and do that deep processing we need. But there is a time our overstimulation can be due to internal stimulation, like because of beliefs we have, or maybe if certain ways of being, emotions, situations were extremely stressful for us in the past. Like if our parents, for whatever reason, weren't able to attune to us when we had these stressful emotions, or they weren't permitted, we may have stuffed them down, or that we may find them completely overwhelming. So that is an example of a time when we may retreat and want to be alone, not necessarily because it's the best thing for us, but because we have no confidence that being with anyone else could possibly help. It's a missing experience to have it help, to be with someone else. But in my experience, there is a way, and it's through focusing partnership. And also with a good therapist, you can have this kind of attunement, obviously, where you can be with whatever's going on in you, hopefully, and they'll be attentive to you. But focusing is free once you learn how to do it. And we HSPs have such a big need for this kind of processing ongoing, even if we're not in any kind of terrible distress. It's just part of our life, that it's really amazing to have for me, it's been life-changing, having a regular source of that kind of support. Because what I've discovered is that there are certain, like I said, feelings. Like for me, anger is one that I have not felt comfortable letting out, that I can let out in a focusing situation. I can be with something in me that's really angry and have that be safe, because the nature of the partnership is such that the other person really is listening and reflecting. They're not judging you, they're not commenting, they're not trying to fix you. Really, really unusual to experience that kind of listening. And it turns out when you do that, when you both enter into this kind of presence that we learn how to create when we focus, you can attune with the other person. And it's almost as if I use this metaphor sometimes when I talk about focusing. If I'm by myself, it's like I just have this little TV tray in front of me under which I can kind of spread out my emotions and try to handle them. With the other person there, it's like I have a whole big giant table. So there's a spaciousness. It's like they lend you presence so that you can be with these feelings that have become internal stressors for you in and of their own right. And then you stop being afraid of them anymore. So anyway, I think that's been really, really exciting for me. So, if that sounds like you could use that kind of support, I definitely recommend checking out Focusing Partnership. If it's stronger, if it feels like there's this overwhelming, non-negotiable need for company, then when it's like that for me, I turn to paid support, like with a one-on-one with a professional focusing guide or with a therapist. But if it's more like anything from like a 1 to a 7 or so on a scale of 1 to 10 of intensity, Focusing Partnership is definitely my go-to strategy as a sensitive person. At times when in the past I would have felt like I could only process alone. And it's hard to process those things alone, the things that are the toughest for me, because I don't have presence around them. So that was kind of a catch-22, which the focusing has really helped me solve. So that's what I had to say for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. You can read more at my website at www.luminouslistening.com. Thanks, and have a great day.